Okay, so within the B-010 phone administration module, the very first thing that triggers really this module to begin is an inbound phone call from a customer. And so when an inbound phone call comes in from a customer, what we're going to be checking in the system is, was that call actually answered? And then there's some conditional paths here based on whether it was or wasn't answered. So let's look at the no path first. So let's say that the business misses the phone call. Well, in that case, the workflow that's going to begin is the B-010-WF 2.1 missed call follow-up text workflow. So let's go ahead and go pull that workflow up. So here we are within the B-010 module folder for workflows. And we're going to open this 2.1 right here, missed call follow-up texts. And we're just going to look at the functionality here. So we can see our trigger type here is call direction is incoming. And if the call status is busy, canceled, voicemail, no answer, then this workflow will begin. So the first thing that happens here is we're going to be adding a tag. So if we go back here, we can see that here's our tag that's being added in the Miro board. And then there's some other actions that happen here. The missed call is going to be assigned to a user, and then we're going to be adding a task. It's worth mentioning that you do need to decide in this action in the workflow which users you actually want to assign the inbound phone calls to once there's users in the system. And then there's going to be a notification that goes out internally and a message that says, hey, sorry, we missed your call. And that's pretty simple. That's it for the missed call text back flow. We can see in the Miro board here that after the tag is assigned, then that tag is going to be collected in the routing workflow right here, which just like with the previous module, we will get into when we're done with our Miro board here. So let's get started with our other path. So in the event that a call is answered, so the business picks up and they have a conversation with the lead, there is a funnel step where a form is embedded. And so we're looking for the B-010 incoming lead intake funnel and then the lead intake step. So let me show you where to find that. So here within the system, you're going to click on Sites on the left-hand side, and then we're going to be looking at funnels here, and then we're going to the B-010 phone administration. And then here is our funnel for the lead intake and then incoming lead intake funnel step. So let's go ahead and preview this. And so here we can see our form. And so this is just living on the funnel step. And I'll just show you really quickly also where this form lives. So if we're back here on Sites on the left-hand menu navigation, you're going to go to Forms at the top, and then you're going to go to Builder. And then we're looking at the B-010 phone administration module and then the incoming new lead form. And so here's the form that's showing up on this funnel. And so this is a way for business team members to capture the lead information when an inbound phone call comes in. The system will have the phone number, but the system does not have any other information for the lead. So when you go in here and you put the lead's first name, last name, business name if they have a business associated, and then you put their phone number in, the system will take this phone number and associate it with the phone number that it already has for the incoming call. And then you can also add the email address. Email and phone are required fields, and then optional is physical address. Then you have the option here to add a conversation recap note. Now let's talk about this part of it briefly. And so if we look at this in our workflow, here's the if tree that is controlling that logic. And so based on what was selected on the form, we're either going to be sending the recap, and this is kind of what it looks like. It says, it was a pleasure speaking with you, and thank you for giving us the opportunity to work with you. I wanted to share a quick recap. And then we're dropping a custom field right here. And so this is where the information from the form gets populated. Whereas the thank you message right here does not send any recap. Now, one important note on this front is if you put a note in here and you just say, you know, this is an important note, and then you say don't send anything, this note still gets stored to that custom field. And so if for some reason you don't want to use the out-of-the-box template to send a conversation recap, but you still want to take a note, you can select don't send anything, and this information is still going to be stored for you to then be able to use in a manual message if you would like to, or another template that you've created or something along those lines. And you can do this back to back by just clicking on this enter more new leads button down here if you want to enter several leads at a time. And that is it for the B-010 module. So we're going to move over to the last module here, which is the B-006 request a callback module. And so let's flip over to that Miro drawing here. And we'll zoom in a little bit. And then let's look at the first step here. So the very first thing that happens in this module is a customer requests a callback. And so we can see a form submit happening here. And so this is the B-006 request a callback from sales form that's embedded within this funnel step. So I'm going to locate both of these assets in the system for you and show you where you can find them. So if we're looking at all of our funnels here, we're going to go to the B-006 request a callback module, and then here we have the request a callback funnel. So here we are on the preview, just going to be a basic form here with first name, last name, phone number, and then an opportunity for them to put some more information in there as to why they're giving us a call. So if we look back at the Miro board here, we can see that once the funnel step is viewed, the form is submitted, then we're looking at the B-006-WF-1.1 workflow that begins, which is the contact requested a callback to make an attempt. And so let's go ahead and open that workflow. So here we are in the 1.1 workflow, and we can see that we're checking to make sure that they haven't already been through this. So this is new entries, and then we're just going to simply change the system note based on whether or not they have or have not been through this before. Then we're going to add a request to callback pending tag, which we can see right here. Then the logic that kind of follows this is we're checking to see was the call, the outbound call actually complete or not. So if we go back to the workflow here, we can see that we're checking the times here to see kind of like, are we on the weekend or are we during the weekday? And then we're just adjusting the messaging and that kind of stuff accordingly. And we can see that if it's the weekend, we're also waiting till a weekday before we actually give them a call. But a call will be automatically generated. The system will generate a call where the business account administrators or managers get a phone call first, and then after that the lead gets a phone call, and the system will attempt to connect those calls together. And so then we're going to be checking to see what is the status of that call that occurred, and that's what leads us into our next workflow here, which is we actually have two other workflows here, which is the 1.2 and the 1.3. So we have call incomplete and then call complete. So if we go back to our drawing here, we can see if call is incomplete, if the status is incomplete, then we have the 1.2 workflow, which is right here. And if the call status is complete, which is this path, then we have the 1.3 workflow, which is right here for call completed. So let's look at the not complete path first, the continue trying path. So if we flip back over here to our Miro board, we look at this path, we can see that we just basically add a request a callback incomplete tag right here. And we send them a SMS and let them know, hey, we were unable to reach you. We have a callback request, and we continue trying to reach them and all that kind of stuff. And we only add the request a callback incomplete tag at the end of our reattempt, which would be our second call. So we tried to call them once, it was incomplete. Now we tried to call them a second time, sent them some more messages. And if we make it all the way to the bottom of the workflow and we were unable to still connect the call, then we add the incomplete tag. One note to mention here is that there is a voicemail drop occurring in this workflow. And notice how this says empty placeholder. So this is something that we just have a placeholder in here that is an audio file. And this is not an audio file that you would actually want to use as your voicemail drop. So make sure that you get in here and add an MP3 file containing an actual voicemail that you want to use. And if you've never done voicemail drops before, this should be like a generic message that isn't calling anybody out by name or anything like that, because obviously this voicemail drop will be used generically for anybody that we were unable to reach on our first attempt. And that's going to be it for our not complete path after the tag's added. That's aggregated later in the router, which we will look at. So now let's look at our complete path. So this will trigger our 1.3 workflow. So let's go back and we'll look at our 1.3 workflow, which is going to be call completed right here. And call complete, we have a couple triggers here, which is call status is complete inside of the 1.1 workflow. And then we also have call status is complete in the 1.2 workflow, because again, we're continuing to try to call them another time in the 1.2 workflow. And so if the call status is complete in any of those two workflows, then we're going to add the call status, the request to callback complete tag, and send them a little SMS that says, thanks for requesting call on our website. We hope you're able to speak with our team and get your questions answered. And those are all templates. Everything here is templates, so you can adjust the messaging in templates if you would like, relatively easy. And so all the tags that are added in the B-006 module are aggregated to this flow right here. And so we can see if a request to callback is pending. We're just going to do some tag cleanup, make sure that the incomplete tag is not there. We're going to remove that. Make sure the complete tag isn't there. We're going to remove that. If a request to callback is incomplete, it's no longer pending. So we're going to remove the pending, and then we're also going to remove the complete. So this takes into consideration the fact that someone might go through this flow more than once. Same thing with complete. If it's complete, we're removing pending and incomplete, and then also removing other workflows that they might be in when the call was complete. So just as a reminder with the tag routers, if you want to integrate this with an existing system, or you have a pipeline that you would like to use, a really easy place to do that integration is here inside of the tag router, because you can just add your pipeline stages here. All of the primary actions that are occurring inside of the workflows are tagged and added to the router to make it really easy for you to integrate with your existing systems.